Hello everyone, Prasad Amonkar, real estate consultant and real estate coach. My topic of today is what's the process involved when you buy a new property. When I say new property, it could be an apartment, it could be a penthouse, it could be a villa or a bungalow, or it could be a land. Now considering that you are buying a built up place, okay, let's say a flat. There are three stages which is involved in the entire process. The first being the title of the land, right? And the second phase would be the construction phase, any documentation which is involved during the construction phase. And the third will be the current ownership. Now, when you buy an apartment which is directly with the builder, if builder is started one new project and is selling during the construction phase, that is the time there are only two stages involved. The first being the land and the second fill during the construction, because the builder sells or books the apartment during the construction phase as well. The first phase is the land title. Now this is a very essential thing. You must check the documents of the land. For example, when suppose you apply for a loan, the bank would want the title of that particular place for last 30 to 35 years. Now it's not necessary that it can end at 30-35 years. It can go beyond that. Depends on what is the reference mentioned on the last paper. So in a land title, the documents involved are, it could be manual form 114 and the current form 114, the survey plan. It will be how the properties come to the current builder. Suppose if builder has purchased the land, then it would be a sale deed. Then prior to that sale deed, how the land was owned by the seller to the builder. So the builder has purchased from a particular vendor. The vendor was the owner of this particular property, maybe through a sale deed. It could be a gift deed. It could be through some inventory which was followed earlier. It could be deed of succession or any other document by means he is the absolute owner. You need to check that. Once you have that particular document, you will get reference of the origin of the property. If the inscriptions and descriptions are mentioned in that reference, you can go to archive and collect those documents within 7 to 8 days. The inscription description will give you the details of the property, the origin of the property. Now these documents are generally to be translated because they are in Portuguese, so you need to get a translator and get it done. So once that title of the land is clear, along with the next process, that is converting this particular land into a non-agricultural land. So the next process for the builder will be the mutation of the property, partition if it was not done. Then what you need to check is the sanad on the property. If the property has been converted from agriculture to non-agriculture, that process is sanad. Once that is done, the builder will apply for the construction licenses, and from the TCP, Panchayat, all these documents has to be there in place. Once you have these documents, like suppose if he is doing some subdivision of the property, whether it is approved by TCP, whether there is a construction license on this property, this is that document which forms the second phase of the documentation process. And the third would be buying process. Now while purchasing this particular apartment from a builder, it ends in the second process itself, because he is the original owner of the apartment now. In case you are buying an apartment which is resale, the builder must have signed an agreement with the purchaser, or he must have done a sale deed with the purchaser. So the third phase is basically who is the current owner from the builder, who is the current owner, and whether the current owner has the documents like sale deed, registered sale deed of course, then whether he has occupancy certificate, house tax receipt, whether the electricity is on his name, whether he is paid all the maintenance, but if there is any due, you must check that. So these are the three phases when you are buying an apartment either in a new building or it could be a resale. Sometimes you go for a loan. So when you go for a loan, the bank will have its empaneled lawyer who will check the documents. In this case, the bank will ask for the land title document. They will ask for the construction phase documents and the current ownership document. Once it goes to their lawyer, the lawyer will give a title report to the bank, and the bank will keep all the entire set of documents in their quarantine. Now, what is your responsibility? You must also keep one set of documents with you, because maybe after 5 years or 10 years, if you wish to sell this apartment, you must have the entire set to give it to the next purchaser. So you don't have to go back to the bank and ask for these documents again from the quarantine, because it's a process. So it is your responsibility here to keep this set of documents. The bank will never compromise. When the bank will ask, the bank's lawyer will ask for certain documents, it is a must. It is your responsibility to provide these documents, because there cannot be 80% title clear. There cannot be 90% title is clear, or it can't be 95% title. It has to be 100% title. The title has to be very, very clear. How the land which is come from the vendor to the other parties and then to the builder, then how the builder has taken the approvals on the construction, sanat, partition, mutation, entire process, and then how he has done the construction and how he is sold, and whether if you were RERA registered, if the property was more than 500 square meter, whether the builder was RERA registered. That is also one important parameter here. Of course, today the builder cannot skip the RERA part. He has to register with RERA. So you need to only know the number, the RERA number. So from that RERA number, you can go online and check the documentation there as well. I'll take up on RERA on the next video. The question here is, when you are buying an apartment, don't get into that mode wherein because you are getting a good rate, skip certain part of this process. Now sometimes the tendency is the builder will come out with certain schemes. I have only one flat available. I have only 2 flats available. Do you want to book it today or tomorrow? No, it cannot go that way. It's a property. It's a matter of 40 lakhs or maybe 4 crore or maybe 40 crores, whatever. The process has to be same. Even 1 rupee is involved, the process has to be same, because you are buying a real estate, you are buying a property. So if there is a sales gimmick, don't fall prey to that. Not the good thing about Goa is we have more of the more than 80-90% of the builders who are doing a very good process of sales. They'll provide you all the information. They will not put kind of pressure onto the purchaser when it comes to buying, when it comes to selling. Certain cases wherein the builder will have maybe 5 or 6 apartments, they would want to sell one so that they have some liquidity, and they would want you to basically make a decision immediately. It cannot happen that way. Of course, you must take decision quickly, because sometimes the rate may not be the same tomorrow. If today the builder is giving you at one rate, tomorrow it may not be same. He may have another buyer for the same apartment, but the process will always remain. You can probably give a small token to just block the apartment, but the process has to be the same. Taking the entire set of documents, giving it to the bank, giving probably to your lawyer as well. The bank will have its own empaneled lawyer, but you can also give it to your lawyer to recheck it. And then your loan process starts, and then you buy the property without skipping one single process in the entire process which I told you. So all the best for your future real estate purchase. Good.